Judd Zolga and Derek Whitmore, 1500ESPN.com. Thanks for coming to the website. Derek, it might be the NFL offseason, but it never is the National Football League offseason. And more importantly, it's never the offseason when it comes to the most important position, the quarterback position. This is a Bledsoe doll from a ways back, but I think it conveys the point that the quarterback position is ultimately one of the most important in football. So what are the Minnesota Vikings going to do at quarterback as we now come out of the combine and get ready for all the free agency and draft speculation?
Yeah, well, at this time of year, I don't even like delving too much into who impressed. And get that thing out of here.
Don't you like it? It's sort of creepy.
It's
true.
More than kind of creepy.
All right.
People who who moved up, who moved down, all that stuff. That's nice and it's good fodder for now. But today, month from now, that stuff changes. It seems like it's ever changing. Who the quarterbacks are important. I saw a report that Ron Jaworski doesn't think Johnny Manziel's a top 3-round talent. Johnny Manziel could well go number 1 overall in the NFL draft, let alone, forget what his talent is or whatever. It's more about quarterback posturing and how much more important that position is than others. The teams are going to move up. I think it's kind of ridiculous to suggest that he's not.
Well, let's talk about.
But it just changes. That's my overall.
It changes on a daily basis,
right,
which is what makes 1500 ESPN so happy. Let's talk about the Vikings quarterback situation. There's a report from Jason Lockenfor of CBSSports.com. He is well sourced in the league, so it's a credible report. In a story he did on Michael Vick, that he mentions in passing, basically, no pun intended, that Matt Cassel might be a target of the Houston Texans. Now, if Matt Cassel indeed is a target of the Texans and ends up in Houston, that opens up all types of interesting conversations, including this one. What would you think of if the Vikings lose Cassel to Houston, to the Vikings pursuing the guy who would ultimately be released by Houston, Matt Schaub? He's coming off a terrible season. Houston was awful, surprisingly so. But Matt Schaub, if you look at the resume, hasn't been too bad. What would you think about a potential short-term, make good, prove you could still do this deal with Matt Schaub?
Yeah, it was weird. In the middle of last season, I kept thinking the Texans are better than this. Matt Schaub isn't this bad of a quarterback. Eventually, he's going to regress to the mean of his career production.
Which isn't too bad.
I kept thinking that was coming, and it never came. I watched, I think, a couple of Texans games when you and I would watch on Red Zone. They flipped through some of that stuff, and then one time I actually sat down. I can't remember what week it was, but anyway, I watched a Texans game, shamefully enough. Mm-hmm. And he just makes, unbelievable decisions. We're used to Christian Ponder in Minnesota, so bad decisions from the quarterbacks, nothing new,
right.
And being scared in the pocket and that kind of thing. But some of the choices that Matt Schaub made for the talent that he has were just mind-boggling. And so I don't know. I guess the numbers suggest that you would expect a rebound, and even into this next year, if you want to buy into the statistical regression, fine.
Sure.
But seeing some of those games kind of made me think twice about it. I think I've seen just enough for it to be dangerous.
The thing with Schaub that I think might be the most interesting is if GMs and owners look at his track record, you might have a team or two saying, you know what, last year was an aberration. It's not real.
Right.
So we'll sign you to a pretty lucrative and longer-term deal. If I'm the Vikings, the only way that I'm interested in Matt Schaub is on a short-term deal.
Sure.
Because I think ultimately you find, if you're the Vikings, you have your fingers crossed that you're going to find your young quarterback eventually. Right. So I don't know.
But do you get a mulligan is kind of my
if you're
question.
Schaub? In this league, yes. I think you do, don't you?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's so quarterback starved. Now, if the Vikings thought that they were on the cusp of being really good, I think Schaub might intrigue you because you might say to yourself, hey, we need a veteran quarterback. What we don't know is what the Vikings' thinking is. Now, my guess, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, my guess is that the Vikings and Rick Spielman, the one thing that they are thinking is, we can't swing and miss on a quarterback high in the draft. I think this team has so many defensive needs, as we've talked about before, that I got to believe the Vikings are not going to take a quarterback at 8. I don't know that you trade up for a quarterback in this draft because I don't know there's a clear-cut guy there. My thought process is Rick Spielman says to himself, if I miss on a quarterback at 8, Derek, I'm done. I'm going to be fired.
Right.
But if I take a quarterback in the 3rd or 4th round, I sign a veteran for this coming season, and I let Norv Turner work with a young guy, then my job's not in jeopardy. So I almost think Spielman's going to save his job by not trying to force a quarterback like they did Ponder in 2011.
Yeah, I don't think even in today's NFL where a quarterback like Geno Smith is expected to come in and start right away and be productive in his rookie season without any weapons around him, I might add.
Yeah, you're right.
But quarterbacks are expected to come in and play right away now. I just don't know that that's the best model. I think you're best letting rookie or first or second year player slowly adapt to the NFL, learn the offense, learn the talent around him, learn how to live the NFL lifestyle, frankly, which is a luxury a lot of these quarterbacks don't have. I think when they do have that luxury, higher likelihood of success.
Well, the NFL draft coming up. Don't forget, it's in May now. Free agency right around the corner. The exclusive negotiating period with your own players is March. You can do it March 8th, I believe.
I think.
Where you can start talking to other free agents as well. And then the 11th, it all starts.
Correct. It starts in earnest March 11th, and that's going to be the big date to see if the Vikings are bringing back any one of those 15 free agents. Judd, you wrote a piece for 1500ESPN.com on what the Vikings should do with each of those 15 pending unrestricted free agents.
And you can find that at the website. And also, while we're here, you might as well talk about the podcast, The Latest Sports Over Beers.
I guess I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine.
Yeah, this is just self-promotion.
We had a chance last night to go to Jackson's Hole, downtown Minneapolis, myself, Judd Zolgad, Phil Mackey, and record the latest episode, the 6th episode of Sports Over Beers, where we get together, have a couple of beers, start talking about sports, and generally let the conversation meander from there.
I only had one last night.
Oh, wow.
Surprised by that? I was.
I'm shocked.
All right, plenty of more NFL talk coming up, obviously, as the offseason progresses. Don't forget, you can hear Mackie and myself on our show 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. weekdays as well. He's Derek Wetmore. He runs the show at 1500ESPN.com. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Judd, and that's it for us today.